Hi, and welcome back to the 10 square meter workshop. In previous videos I've made the 3 axes for my scratch built CNC machine, but now it's time to put them together and build that machine. So let's get going.
The X-axis needs a frame to attach it to the base, and that's made of the same steel tubing as the base. This forms a U-shape, and I should be bolting it to the X-axis before welding it, to make sure it's true. The Y-axis frame was drilled out 8mm tapping, and the frame 8mm clearance. The holes were then tapped out to 8mm. The sides could then be bolted on prior to welding the top on. With the top of the frame welded and fettled, I can now put the Z and X axis back on. With that done, the final assembly step can be taken, which is crucial to the accuracy of the machine. So the 2 frames need to be joined together, but exactly how is critical. One leg, up or down, in relation to the other, will affect the Z to X axis. Rotating forward or back will affect the Z to Y axis. And moving this forward or back will alter the X to Y axis. So all 3 need to be correct. This is best done by moving the head under power and measuring the gaps at each end to see if it needs adjusting. And to do that, I've built this tramming box, all in a cardboard box. The box just contains a pulse generator and buttons so I can send it to the various axes. Bit of a rat's nest, but should do the job. So, Z axes, yep, X axes, yep, and Y. Yes, all functioning. To start with, I'm using a gauge pin in the spindle and using gauge blocks and feelers.
They're followed along the repetitive process of keep adjusting the clamps and measuring. When I got close, I then welded one of the legs and repeated the process to get a finer adjustment before then welding the second leg.
With it all welded up, it's time to see how well I did. So after careful measurement, it turns out that front to back and left to right is within 50 microns. I had to measure it twice because I didn't really believe it. The angle between the X and Y is a bit different. That's 0.8mm out. But all is not lost. These were never going to be perfect. The next step is to use packing behind the bolts and to use these adjusters here. If this sounds a little bit like cheating, it's not really. For over a century, that's how machines were put together. Putting 1.2mm shims behind the X-axis plates corrected for this error. It is now within 50 microns in all planes. I'm going to leave it at that until I can do some test cuts. It's now time to find a home for all the electronics. To both act as a mounting plate and to keep the swarf out, I should be using this aluminium sheet. I'm using my homebrew bender to put a fold in one side to hold the drivers. With some adjustment, it fits the gap. The plate, however, involves cutouts, because I want to mount 2 of the parts through the plate to take advantage of the extra space behind in the middle. With all the modules mounted on the back plate, wiring up can now begin. And here it is, wired up. Not complete, but enough to get testing.
Well, I now have a machine, but of course it does need to be driven by software. And that's the subject of the next video. Don't miss it. Why not subscribe? Bye for now.